Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Apurv. I head business at WebEngage. We're a marketing automation platform. I'm going to quickly jump over to the panelists. Not going to give you very long introductions because let's get to the conversation part of it. Over to you, Deepak. You'd like to introduce?
Thanks, Apurv. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Deepak Bakshi, Managing Director with Accenture Song in India.
Hi everybody, this is Tejas Bakre. I'm a partner with EY. I handle data analytics for BFSI sector.
Hi everyone, Prasad here. I am head of AI and data science at Ansas Equity. Looking forward to meeting everyone after the event.
Hi everyone, my name is Jyoti. I'm a partner with Boston Consulting Group. I lead X-Dot Growth as part of BCG.
So Jyoti is bringing diversification in the panel. We clearly could do better, but yeah, thanks for being here, Jyoti. I'm going to start with everybody's been hearing about AI, conversational AI. Everybody knows what's happening at in California with Altman going in, out, dancing around, and whatever's up. So everybody pretty much knows that, and everybody keeps saying that AI is the future. I think we'll try and get down a little away from the buzzword to understand what exactly is AI and how do we use it in loyalty, right? That's the whole game today that we're trying to come to. So my first question, right? We have a very diverse panel here. People come from CPG, retail, BFSI, consulting backgrounds, So my first question today is, what is, given the diverse sort of industry that we have here on the panel, right? What is the unique approaches in AI for loyalty, as use cases across these sectors, right? Deepak, can we start from you since you're next to me?
Sure, absolutely. I think by industries, there is definitely going to be some separation of the use cases and how various organizations are looking at it. And if I were to pick examples, let's say from retail to start with, where loyalty plays a reasonably big role. Consumers would tend to shop more frequent and the ticket size is usually smaller. So loyalty plays much bigger role. Now, the use case for AI is obvious, right? Currently, what's happening is there is a lot of customer data that's getting created, collated together. And the whole idea is there's an analytics team who will kind of churn the data, generate the insights, use that to then engage and communicate with consumers. A lot of insights in that process tends to get missed. And more so in retail because the number of transactions that are happening at a consumer level are significant, right? And we can pick any, whether it's the likes of e-marketplaces today or the physical retail stores that exist in the country. To deal with that quantum of data and number of transactions at a retail consumer level, AI can play a very significant role in streamlining that, making sure those insights are not getting lost when we talk about loyalty. The second idea also, where AI can play a very significant role in retail, is how do you bring in the data which consumer is not directly leaving with you, right? Joining the dots between your non-first party data attributes, bringing in back into the loyalty and making sure that's part of your engagement with the consumers. Those two areas are very unique, very specific to retail as I see it. And then again, as we move on some of the other segments of retail, let's say we take jewelry retail, the situation changes slightly because you look for very different set of attributes and hence the content that you want to engage with the consumer on that plays an important role. Now, identification of that content and how to utilize that in comms with the consumer in a jewelry retail becomes different than one we are looking at, let's say, a grocery retail. Right? So those nuances and likewise, I think industry to industry, there are several levers that come into the play here.
I have one cross question to you again. You said non-first party data that the users leave. What do you mean by that? Just one quick line on that.
So it's essentially the attributes of that non-first party data, right? So retailers, when you are transacting with retailers, you are leaving your transaction details with them. But what are some of the other, let's say, browsing that you're doing on a particular category of retail? It's not lying with the retail. It's non-first party, right? So you'll have to
You're
gather
saying
it
stuff
from
like device data,
and the likes. Yes.
and so on and so forth, right?
That's right, yeah.
Completely. Fair enough. Fair enough. Over to you. You know, before you sort of take the same question, just if you can give a background on the industry that you come from, so that they know where you're getting to as well from
So
a use case.
I primarily look at BFSI, which is banking, financial services, NBFCs in insurance, essentially financial services. And it's a very peculiar trend that I'm seeing now from a use case perspective in the banking industry, especially retail banking as well as all the NBFCs, right? And I think when I was talking to Jyoti said loyalty is about trust. She mentioned that was downstairs. So I think trust comes from a bit of a emotional attachment that you have with a brand. An emotional attachment, to derive the exact qualities of an emotional attachment that the consumer has with the brand, is based on emotional intelligence. And how do you use AI, which is artificial intelligence, to derive emotional intelligence about your consumer? And very interestingly, that I've seen in some of the banks that I'm talking to, they do have a customer data platform. They have a customer 360, which tells everything that the customer has done for them. And this is all first party data. But what they're going now is into very deeper dissections of individuals. And as you know very well, each individual is actually very distinct, right? How much ever you try to group them into their demographics, you would find nuances with certain people. You might have a dog lover, a bike owner, and a house owner. Or you might have somebody who's a cat lover and somebody with 2 kids and so on, right? So that micro segmentation is what I'm seeing banks trying to do of customers. That's A. And they're also investing a lot into what is called as a sentiment analysis. So, and I think from a futuristics perspective, look at it, it's not just about whether the customer is happy or not happy with your brand, whether he's happy with the services that he got from the bank. It is essentially talking about what is his mood in terms of where in the life cycle he is today, what's his growth journey, what are his imperatives, and based on that, trying to create models, which are AI-based models, which predict what is the most likelihood of that particular person buying. So essentially, just to summarize, microsegmentation, sentiment analysis, there is also a word called as opinion mining, to see what the person has been doing when he's browsing over the website or the portal of the bank, and so on and so forth. So I see that a lot of BFSI doing this in this country.
Thank you. So, now coming to you, right, Prasad, you told me, you've dealt with data models, you've dealt with so many other, ways on which AI and ML, all of that is built, right? You've studied it, you've been part of those projects, right? Just going a little more deeper, and maybe you can choose a segment or a sector. What is a use case that people sort of can relate to at a micro level that, that can be AI based, and how it is being done? If you can give me some idea, it will be very helpful.
Absolutely. So, I come across sectors. I have worked in life sciences, retail, BFSI, and the passion which to work with is how do we build loyalty, right? How do we build that trust for brands? And taking it one step further, how do we build chains of loyalty, right? Where a lot of our customers build or rely on us to build referral programs, right? Where customer is very happy, he falls into certain segment or micro segment, right? He has certain opinion about the brand. He has a positive sentiment about the brand. Our analysts have already analyzed it using different machine learning tools, artificial intelligence algorithms, graph mining, and so on, right? How do we nudge them to refer more customers like them, right? How do we nudge them through behavioral science and AI to gain more and more and more brand trust or customer trust, right? Through those referral programs. how do we understand that behavior of network science is where a lot of our work currently happening, and happy to talk more about it later.
Absolutely.
Just on this nudging part, if I may interject. So in the recent times, we built a model to send these nudges that please buy our personal loan, you have our credit card, and so on. I'm just coming back to the point that I was making. So somebody that they figured out that in one of our banks, they figured out that there are a lot of customers who are hardly using their credit cards, and they're not even happy with their credit cards. But at the same time, if you nudge a person who is actually not happy with your existing services, it actually is very counterproductive. And so the models should have these inbuilt mechanisms to sort of talk to each other in terms of what. So nudging is great. I'm just giving an example where I recollected an incident where this actually failed in some cases as well. Yeah.
So, I mean, there are two parts of nudging, right? You nudge everyone based on the overall bigger segment, or you start developing algorithms like reinforcement learning, where algorithm gets penalized if it predicts something wrong versus it gets incentivized if it predicts something right, which is the basics of chat GPT in an NLP world. Sorry, bit technical, but so we ensemble the nudges with reinforcement learning to kind of make sure that customers don't detract and loyalty remains there.
Yeah. So before I get to Jyoti, I hope we can someday kill those annoying calls by all of us get those, buy a credit card, take a loan and stuff. So I hope that gets killed someday by the AI. Jyoti, over to you. You're with BCG. You've done a lot of consulting work across domains, right? What's your take on the use cases that you see being used across the diverse sort of places?
Yeah. So thanks for having me on the panel. Most of what Deepak, Tejas, and Prashad said, I think I completely relate with that, because a lot of work that we actually do at BCG is very full funnel, in the sense that, as I was mentioning before before we joined here, for us, trust is more important than just calling it a loyalty or a referral program. And when we do full funnel work for our clients, we actually start building trust at the top of the funnel, and go all the way to make sure that the customer lifetime value is really linked with how we are building trust with each consumer segment. And each element of this really comes into real world. And when as a student of marketing, all these things look like they are items in a book that you read about one day, but when you see this micro segmentation and reinforcement algorithm actually playing out in an energy client or a financial services client, and that's the joy of really doing the AI work. Personally, what I think one use case for the audience to take away after this panel, which I want to highlight, is BCG has done a very solid piece of work with Starbucks for the personalization program, and it's also on our website, so you can read more about that. But just building that customer DNA at the segment of one, and understanding the omni-channel behavior, keeping in mind that not every nudge is equal and it will have the same reaction. It's one case study which I think I would like to highlight. The other one is an energy client, and that's where it's a global work that we are doing, and the challenge there is really B2B sales, which is to get more out of the right account that you're talking to. And again, as I said, because loyalty plays a role in the full funnel, AI is really powering up our B2B account management that we are building for that client, making the calling agent smarter, making them more aware of the first party data sets, how to write emails, how to do calls. I mean, AI is playing a role in every element of that project that we are running. And it goes without saying that, going back to my original point, trust starts getting built at top of the funnel. We are doing some AI-led work with some banks, where we are actually using AI to generate creators for their campaigns, what we call as media campaigns. But because they are hyper targeted at the segment of one, the generation of creative as well as deployment is enabled by AI and is done at scale. So these are just 2-3 cases that I could think of while the other panelists were speaking. But yeah, happy to continue conversing on this.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing the B2B angle to the overall. I think we've been consumer centric across, but thanks for bringing the B2B angle. So I'm from here, we've spoken about AI, we've spoken about how we need data models and so on. So it brings me to a very interesting point. And I'd like to start with Tejas, right? Considering you come from a financial services background, there's always this battle of personalization versus privacy in loyalty, right? So, as how do you strike a balance between delivering personalized experiences while respecting customer privacy in the loyalty space? Tricky one.
Yeah, it is a very tricky answer to give. See, there are no, there are clear government guidelines. Now the DPDP Act has come by. So it clearly tells that when you collect the data from a particular individual, you have to be very clear on why you're collecting it, how long you're storing it, what is the purpose behind collecting it, and all the authorizations and all that have to be compiled. Now, but as a consumer, I would want my privacy to be maintained. At the same time, as a consumer, I'm expecting you to treat me in a very personal and special way. Now, both gets challenging. So there are some ways to handle it. The way we have done it is, and it's not basically a AI question. It's more of a data question. So what we have done is for some of the banks that we are working with, we are trying to, first of all, clearly identify the PI data, personally identifiable individual data, and make sure that it is masked and encrypted. So that's step number one. It's a very basic step that we do. Second, you have to start relying more and more on zero party and first party data to bring up the personalized choices, right? Rather than relying on third party data. So how much proficient are your own channels in collecting that data? And how do you strengthen them? So for example, if you today have a portal and you're clearly telling that it's going to accept cookies and it's going to actually abolishment of cookies will be a nightmare for all the marketers eventually. But yes, if you accept cookies and you say yes to that, then how do you use them very effectively so that you understand what journeys the particular client took on that web page? Secondly, there is a concept which has been used for a very long time called as data clean room, which is used by many marketeers and advertisers. Data clean room is essentially trying to see what are the commonalities between different consumers who use, let's say, Meta or Google. They provide these services, and your own consumers by using certain lookalike kind of fashion. So you actually don't see the personal data, but you tend to understand the client behavior based on the lookalikes. So these are some mechanisms through which it has been found out. I believe, in the Indian context, so this is my personal opinion, that we don't so much, a normal common man is not so much entrenched into privacy, but definitely is more entrenched into giving a personalized experience. So how that balance is kept depends on how you use their data carefully.
Fair. So I'm going to, jump to you, Jyoti, on the privacy piece. What's your take on the privacy?
There's always, I think, being the second responder to a question, the challenge is what to add beyond what Tejas has already said. Because I think again, theoretically, the balance between giving a personalized experience and being honest to privacy, as a business, one tends to go more on the personalization side. It's not like every click that the user makes, we don't show up the cookies message again and again, right? It's accept all and forget about it. However, as an industry, and maybe I think as thought leaders, just having an honest debate about policies around it and the regulation, even internally, how often are we, and that's what we are actively doing, as part of cases that we are working on, working very closely with compliance, and particularly for the banking sector, and where O2O is concerned, online to offline, we work with a lot of industrial good clients where there is a larger dealer network which we have to activate for ensuring that those leads are serviced. There is a very critical element of making sure that at no point we are compromising user privacy. While in the current scheme of things, not everybody has the appreciation for it, but I think as active industry participants, the effort that we all make is to have a more strict compliance and a strict monitoring around privacy piece, because personalization is taken care of by the AI ML that our teams build. The policy piece is where the manual effort is needed. Funnily enough, that privacy part is manual while personalization continues to be AI driven. That's the balance we are striking as part of BCG.
Just one to come in and ask you only, since just making it more direct. Often AI is with automation, right? Now you have data, you obviously keeping regulations in mind, brought in the right sort of data, you maintained regulations, right? Now AI is running with automation. No one is coming and asking you what data to use, when, and so on and so forth, right? In such cases, are there ways with which privacy can be met? It's hard, I know, but I'm just trying to understand.
That's what I'm saying. That as as active industry participants, our effort is to put these compliance and processes in place, because one has to always remember. I mean, the scenarios that we are working in, financial services is again a combination of online to offline. Industrial goods, things like tires, cements, window panes. These are industries in which consumer will interact digitally as well as offline as well, right? So he will leave his data at different touch points. How do you integrate that? How do you make sure that it doesn't leak out of the system and goes into the market as leads to be sold to home loan companies? So this is really the manual effort, and I would say the future thinking that we can do as active industry participants is to be open about and bringing these things right ahead of curve, preparing the business for that. The success of this really shows up 2 years later or 3 years later. If your business is prepared to make sure with the right rigor, there are no data leakages. As I said, while AI takes care of personalizations, humans take care of privacy.
So there's just to add, I'm sorry, I'm adding to quite a bit because it trying to think
Go
through
for
what
it.
the answer was.
Go for it.
So one point I missed is on the consent. So when you get a customer onto your portal, you take consent based on what all things you can do with his or her data. So that's consent management is one. But the most critical part, I think, is the right to be forgotten. I think that is where I think you'll have to handle the privacy in such a way that ability to completely purge the data out of a system once the consumer has gone away is also an essential ingredient of maintaining privacy.
Just one point adding in there, I think, or rather two, now that I have the talking point.
Go for it, please. We've been waiting for you.
Yeah, of course. No, I think loyalty and data privacy, if the two in the same sentence are in my head are not right? Because if a consumer, I am signing up for loyalty program, I am giving the consent that yes, I want to be associated with this brand or this service, and hence the brand or the organization has the right to connect with me, which means the consent is implicitly there. Now, the second part of the question is then how do I not infringe upon what I don't need to as an organization for that loyal customer, which is where the responsible AI comes in, right? So yes, there is AI that will help us do what I need to do from a loyalty perspective, but the responsibility lies in the policy, in the frameworks that we need to do, in the entire performance evaluation of the algorithm. If you do good and you're not invading, great stuff. If you are, then let's course correct it. So those are the points.
Thanks. Fair. So, jumping to the challenges that we have, right? We keep talking about AI, privacy, how to do this, but there are obviously a lot of people don't know how to deploy an AI solution, how to start, where to go about it, and how to scale up and so on and so forth. So, what are some of the common challenges that an organization faces when deploying AI from a loyalty program standpoint? Prasad, you've been quiet for a bit, and I have to, over to you. I'd love to hear your take on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two main challenges which I think of, and then I'll leave.
I ask you to put the mic a little closer. Sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Much better.
Okay, cool. So there are two main challenges, and then I'll leave some challenges to the next speaker after listening to you. One challenge is the buzzwords, right? Everyone hears about artificial intelligence, blockchain.
Jobs are going to be lost.
Jobs are going to be lost, or everything is going to be transformed, right? Within a day or two. And that sets up expectations really, really high, right? When we go in for our clients as advisors, as trusted consultants, we keep the expectations extremely realistic in terms of the top line impact or bottom line impact they are going to get, right? In terms of amount of dollars or in terms of the brand value or brand impact the AI will add to their current baseline, right? So we do a proper baselining exercise, which is then followed by data discovery process, which is further followed by a lot of data enrichment process, which is further followed by a lot of machine learning algorithms, innovating different algorithms, right? Innovating through different kind of neural networks, innovating through computer vision, innovating through natural language processing, right? And then comes the implementation part, right? Where we need a lot of help from someone like business analysts, right? Who understand the technology really well, who understand the domain really well. They can work with the implementation partners to implement these algorithms in the current systems which client has already invested in, right? Rather than suggesting a billion-dollar transformation for them, right? So we have to be extremely, extremely agile when it comes to the implementation part and the transformation part, right? And once we are through that, we finally start seeing some impact of AI after 6 months or 12 months through different test versus control groups, different A/B tests, right? And so on. And that part has to be done in a very, very accurate way, right? Whether you are doing test versus control and so on. After all of that, we need to get approval from all the executives who are our sponsors for that particular AI process. So it's a long process, right? It's a very long process which has to be extremely accurate while dealing with a lot of bad data, a lot of unclean data, a lot of different algorithms, a lot of industry dynamics changing. So that's challenge one, right? And while dealing with all the buzzwords, because tomorrow there will be new news about blockchain and the world will transform itself again. Not really, right? So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two is, see, when I started my career, data science was not a word, right? AI was academic word, right? Today, everyone wants to work in data science or AI. So second challenge is getting right talent, right? You get right talent, groom them for years, and then they are ready for a big transformation project. So that's a second challenge, which is not customer centric. The first one was customer centric, which is a rigor and a process. Second is more talent driven, where we want more and more and more talent and innovation come in the industry and impact AI and loyalty in particular through different technologies, through different algorithms, through their way of thinking, and so on.
Understood. No. I think love the way you describe the process and the challenges. I think nothing left for most people to sort of talk about, and we have shortened time as well. So quick 1-2 pointers. I'm going to ask the same question to everybody, starting from you, Deepak. What are the future trends, right? Where does, now from buzzword to, usage of AI in, your loyalty, where does this go in the future? Quick 1 or 2 pointers.
Sure, and I'll take you from the previous question. I think that will
Yeah,
also
please go
add
for it, go
to
for it.
the trends as well. See, one element is data. AI is going to be based, it is based on data, and it's, see, what we see is currently organizations have one type of data, and the usability of that data from an AI use case perspective that we discussed earlier could be limited to start with. So currently the usage of AI in loyalty space is going to be more to scale up the efficiency, but there is more that can be done, right? So defining those use cases and making sure as an organization you are able to gather that data and that piece of content and information is one area to watch out for in the future. The
Understood.
second I'll just highlight is around the organization, right? Operating models across organizations will evolve as AI starts to play a bigger role, especially in the loyalty kind of a thing, right? So what will be in-house, what will be with AI, what will be with your ecosystem partners, which specific capabilities will get either disrupted or undergo a significant change is the second area to watch out for.
Absolutely. So understood this. Coming back to the last question and quick one, like we're going to do short one-liners or two-liners. Where do you see the future?
I see the use of AI is going to significantly increase in loyalty. Absolutely, no doubt about that. My sense is again which use cases to evolve is to be seen. Content and emotions, two areas, how those will be joined in the future is where I'll bet.
Jyoti, coming to you. Where do we go from here?
Good that I'm the second speaker, so all points are not lost. But yeah, I think in my head, I can't say that this will be a solved problem, but I see this as a challenge. How I would say the societal fabric will integrate more with the business. Earlier, probably the laws of business were set by, let's say, a business department somewhere in the government, but privacy is such a core element of citizens that influencing businesses will be something that governments will take more in hand. Going back to the talent thing that Prasad mentioned, not everybody has the same knowledge and understanding, and because of that, I think it will be an evolution before we have a clear picture on how businesses and societies really decide to treat privacy, which will impact how AI gets used in loyalty.
Tejas.
So according to me, what's going to happen is, I'm talking from a loyalty programs perspective, there is going to be a significant consolidation of loyalty programs because the consumers are expecting to be treated in a special way across the value chain of, let's say, entertainment or travel. You already see airlines sharing data. So data sharing across loyalty programs is going to increase, which will put more pressure on very significant specialized AI models to give offers which are very relevant across a value chain of, let's say, as I said, entertainment or travel or whatever.
Anything that scares, any scare from an AI standpoint? Obviously, we're not losing jobs. And
No, not
that's
losing jobs.
clickbait.
I'm scared today that a lot of companies know more about me than probably I know more about myself. So
Scary, right?
That's scary, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. What about you, Prasad? Future, where do you see the future going?
So, with respect to loyalty and AI, see, most of the programs are already happening, right? I see the future where AI enables organizations to build networks of loyalties, right? I see loyalty chains being formed, right, through different referral programs, through different nudges or not so nudges, right, and through different algorithms and so on. So that's where the evolution in loyalty is going to be.
So while we're supposed to end at this, but I'm gonna ask you one question again, Prasad. You used neural models and you used a terminology called NLP, right? For our audience, what is neural models? What is NLP? I kept it for the last. I think it's sweet for people to know.
Yeah, so see, neural networks have been here for a while, right? Geoff Hinton and Jan LeCun invented neural networks, and they were there much before that as well. With respect to the current businesses, what we are able to do is we are able to program different artificial intelligence algorithms which are feed forward back propagation, which learn through their mistakes just like any other human does, right? And they keep on correcting the error. That's what basically the neural networks are. And then there are various aspects of it, such as LSTM, which are used on unstructured data, where they have a small forget gate, where white noise goes out of the forget gate, right? Or there are CNNs, which are meant for computer vision and robotics and so on.
Lot of people are googling right now, like whatever you're saying, right? A lot of people are googling. Yeah, NLP. Do you want to cover separately, or you've covered it in your? Yeah, that's all right. Super. Any questions in the audience before we end? We still have like 30 seconds to go. Anybody? Either we've been very good, or no one's got anything. Which one is it? Anybody? Yeah, go for it, please.
Okay. Any of you can take it. Okay, so because we're talking about customer retention, and I think first of all, there were fantastic insights which came from all of you. This was really a rich conversation. But tell me one thing, I think all of us are talking a lot about, being left-brained in AI, right? But technically, from a retention standpoint, the right brain is going to play a very big role. And if AI can power that effectively, which is basically marrying the head and the heart, marrying art and science, right? So how does one crack that code, and what do you think can be done to power AI for the right brain?
I think it is already being experimented, especially in the creative side of things, right? You're right that unless we have AI play a role on content, just doing the science of it based on data alone will not solve the problem for retention. It has to be both. What's already happening in some reasonable level of scale currently in the creative side is, for example, AI is used currently for writing scripts of films, of series. And you don't necessarily need means if it's a series and you can prompt the AI for what has been the previous set of characters and storyline and what was the ending, etc., and what should be the next one. There is enough and more examples now available to create a first level cut at least that can bring that in, which means how should I engage a consumer with a specific type of communication, including creative, is not far away from what AI will be able to do.
I'd just like to add to that. Now we're designing videos and base level photos as well by AI. You could probably give inputs of the characteristics that you want, and the image or the video could do what you needed for them overall. So yeah, just want to add that. Anybody else would like to take this one?
I don't know if my answer is going to add value to your career or your life, but I think this is not the first time that any disruption in our society is making us think hard about what we are really doing in day-to-day, right? Print did that because print spread the word across society. Television did that. Everybody thought people will be glued to their televisions. Mobile phones did that. People thought we'll all become slave to mobile phones. I don't think the right brain will get hijacked by AI. And can it add to it? I think using AI to really use it as a tool, which is what I could see Deepak was describing, and we have seen it in how designers or creative folks are really using it. Just having that lens that this is a tool that really helps me level up my core skill. Just the opportunities are immense. The data nerds like us, we are all left graders here. I don't know how many of us have a side hobby on art or paintings, but we tend to focus more on A/B testing, collecting data, which creator is working well, multi-cell testing, multivariate testing. But a designer should be probably looking at these tools to just iterate, or any creative person, like the scripts and all you were talking about. So yeah, I think looking at it as a tool to upskill, that's how I would see, and I'm seeing the trends already, but I'm not an expert on the creative side, so.
I absolutely echo that, right? See, and I was with our chief creative chairperson a few weeks ago, and from the audience, this was the same question, and his response was essentially, for a creative person, the creative idea is in the mind, right? And then you need a tool to take it out. In few days, years, decades ago, you could use a brush or a pen and a paper and kind of put this on what is a sketch, what is a storyboard, what the creative is going to be. And the technology has evolved. There is softwares available right now to get your mind thinking of creative into an image. And AI is only going to augment that further. So it's a tool. It has to be used responsibly, and we'll see the results.
Helpful. Whilst I like the perspective, I was actually getting to the right brain of the customer. Like if you really
Okay.
have to appeal to his or her emotional intelligence. Do you want to leave us with a thought there, Apurva?
What do you?
The right brain of a customer,
Right.
appealing to the emotional intelligence of a customer.
Yeah, so I don't want to add much more. Keeping the time check in mind, I'm fairly accurate on timing. I think I'll take examples from the product that we built, which is WebEngage, and not trying to be salesy, but just a small use case, right? Today, email can be designed inside the product, looking at the emotion and the kind of segment that we are targeting. All of that linkages, right, on a very, very tactical level really helps, I think, because what is happening in the past is, someone had like, let's send an email at 4 o'clock in the evening to this segment because I have seen previously better clicks come my way and some of those sort of things, right? And everybody has their own experiences, nuances. I think all of this will become a lot more intelligent with that nuance. Another piece is, what happens is sometimes when we are sending text to our customers and so on and so forth, right? And, you have a huge verbose text that you want to send in. It's very hard to cut that down in terms of number of words. And not only does the text cost you as a sender heavily, but also it's boring for someone to read a text which is like 2 texts. No one has that kind of time. We live in 5-10 seconds reels world, right? We don't have that kind of time. I think all of these things sort of add value to the left brain, right brain customer kind of conversations. And absolutely AI will and is empowering today all of these sort of things. I hope that helped you as an answer. And at this note, I'd like to end. Thank you so much for listening in, and fantastic having you over. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists. Can you please stay back for a photo, please?